You're listening to Terry Beltran Podcast, your brand therapist for purpose-driven leaders. I'm Terry Beltran, and we talk branding, multicultural marketing, and emotional storytelling that people actually feel, remember, and trust. Let's dive in. Most co-branding fail for one simple reason. Brands pick partners based on reach instead of relevance. And if you're trying to enter a new market, or even launch a new product, relevance is everything. Today, I want to talk to you about the art of co-branding, choosing the right partner so you can reach a common audience in a way that feels aligned. It should also feel culturally relevant and authentic, because when co-branding is done well, it doesn't feel forced. It feels natural, not intrusive. Here's the main idea I want you to walk away with. Co-branding is not just about access to an audience. It's about credibility, cultural alignment, and shared values. So the audience that you're targeting actually welcomes you in. I want to walk you through a co-branding strategy that I created that helped a brand show up in the Latino market in a way that felt natural and not intrusive. And then I'm going to compare it to another example that you may have probably seen. Because co-branding, when done right, isn't about two brands showing up together. It's about choosing the right partner so you can reach a common audience with credibility, cultural relevance, and alignment. And when you get it right, the audience doesn't feel like they're being marketed to. It feels like it belongs. Here's the main idea I want you to walk away with today. Co-branding is not just about access to an audience. It's about trust, timing, and shared values. And the audience you're actually targeting welcomes you in. So let's start with an example that I actually worked on. Founders Brewing Company was launching a new product, Mas Agave hard seltzer. What they needed was clear. They needed an authentic way to introduce this new product to the Latino market without it feeling out of touch. Because here's the challenge. Founders had a great product, but they didn't have the connection or the credibility with the Latino audience that they wanted to attract. So this wasn't a product problem. This was a trust and relevance problem. And this is where co-branding can be used for different reasons. Sometimes it's about launching something new. Sometimes it's about entering a new market. Sometimes it's about showing up in a cultural moment in a way that's real. In this case, it was all the above. So here's what I did. I created a co-branding strategy that intentionally targeted the Latino market, but did it through cultural alignment and trust building. And the right partner for that was Jumex. Jumex is a nectar juice that's well loved in the Latino household, and it has a strong presence in the Latino markets. Not that it's just there, they have a whole aisle presence. That matters because when you're launching into a new market, you want a partner that already has familiarity and trust where you're trying to go. Now, here's what made this campaign feel more natural. The launch was close to Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, a time when many Latinos honor their loved ones that have passed. And for Catholics, it's the celebration of All Souls Day. Founders had a Day of the Dead theme design on their cans. And it happened to be that Jumex was designing a Day of the Dead theme design for their cans around the same time because of the season. So the partnership didn't seem manufactured. It felt timely. It felt culturally connected. And then we took it a step further. We built a co-branding campaign built around well-known cocktails, targeting dominant segments in the Latino market. And geographically, looking at San Antonio, Miami, and New York. And the cocktail choices were intentional for each region. Strawberry daiquiri for the Puerto Rican segment, primarily in New York. Mojito for the Cuban segment, primarily in Miami. And Paloma, a famous cocktail for Mexicans, targeting in the San Antonio region. It was fun, it was vibrant, but most importantly, it was familiar in the markets we were targeting. And paired with Jumex's credibility and presence, it created a natural way for founders to enter the Latino market with their new product launch. And this is the point I want you to hear. The right co-branding partner doesn't just help you reach people. They help you show up in a way that feels aligned with the culture and the moment. So the campaign feels natural to the audience, not intrusive. Now let's shift to a recent example you might have seen. Dove launched a co-branding campaign with Netflix and Bridgerton. They call it Let Them Talk. And just so we're clear, I did watch season 1. However, I have a lot of catching up to do. But even with season 1 and what the show represents culturally, you can see why the partnership makes sense. Bridgerton brings fantasy, romance, and royal world energy, but it also expands on who gets seen in that world. More culture, more diversity, more representation, and more space for different women to be centered. And Dove has been built on real beauty. Beauty has something real, not one narrow standard. Real women, real expectations, and pushing back on unrealistic expectations. So when Dove steps into the message of let them talk, it fits because it's tied to confidence, self-trust, and letting women be seen for who they are. And this is why I call this ideal co-branding, because it's not just audience overlap, it's alignment, it's shared meaning. Here's the pattern to notice: shared belief, authenticity, is power. Shared tension, public opinion versus self-trust. Shared promise, you don't need permission to take up space. And when co-branding partnership can hold those three things, belief, tension, and promise, it doesn't just get attention. It lands, it connects, it feels consistent. So if you're a founder or a corporate leader thinking of co-branding, I want you to stop asking only, do we share the same audience? And start asking, does this partnership create trust? Does it make us culturally relevant in the market we're targeting? Does it feel aligned with what both brands stand for? Because the best co-branding doesn't feel like two brands trying to be louder. It feels like the right presence at the right time with the right partner. If you want more episodes like this with practical strategies that you could use and apply, make sure to subscribe. And if you want to go deeper, I'm hosting a session on co-branding. We'll go deeper into choosing the right partner so you can build the right strategy that's natural for your audience. And if you miss a session and you're watching this after it's passed, no problem. I'll have a recording available, so go ahead and click on that link to learn more information that I have in the show notes. Oh, and one more thing. If you want to pressure test how your brand is showing up with your target audience, I have a self-assessment that you can download. I'll help you determine whether you're aligned and what's unclear or what might need to be clarified in order to make sure that you're speaking to your target audience. So thanks for joining me, and I look forward to having you in the next episode.